See, questions will be, if we see this code, this is static, right? And only this, your only credentials are allowed in this. But let's say he asks you, like, instead of this single one, I need two, three more user credential. So how you will do? What you can do, you will write if else block. Else if again, else if you will write, right? But that is not a good way, correct? So instead of this, what you will do, you will create user list any, and here you will store your credentials like this. So instead of hard coding, now let's say you have an array. Okay. Now, instead of writing this if condition with a single user, what you will do, you will filter or find the particular record from this array. So is exist user list dot, which method I have to use? If I have to search like particular email and particular password present in my array or not. So what I have to use? Which
Include
Find
find method,
find
right?
method.
So what's the use of find method? To find a particular single record from our array, where m equal to m dot email is equal to this dot login object dot email, and m dot password is equal to this dot login object dot password. Okay. So whatever the user ID he has provided, if in our array we have that, we will get the record over here. Otherwise, it will be undefined. So that's the check you will add it over here. If this is not undefined, your if block will execute. If this is undefined, it will go to the else block. Got it? This is also you
सर
should know.
एनी 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 हम लोग यूज किए हैं, ये जरूरत है क्या? या हम लोग इसे रिप्लेस कर सकते हैं कुछ?
No, sorry, repeat your question.
एनी हम लोग यहाँ एनी यूज किए हैं सर.
So we can create, we instead of this, we can have this also. Understood?
Yes.
Okay. So instead of doing hardcore, this is also hardcore, but you have some more users and you are comparing with that. Okay. Now, when it comes to API, whatever you are doing over here to checking the record exists or not, instead of doing this, you will hit the API, and API will tell you like the credentials what you have passed is correct or not. Okay. Now let's see that quickly. So project API. So bank loan user. Let's try to register a customer. We have already data. Let's try any of that. Okay. So see, I have username over here and the password is also over here. Now I need to, on this login, I need to integrate this API. Okay. Let me just get the URL. So this is my URL. Now let's create HTTP object. Inject HTTP client thing. Now, instead of this code, I will comment this code, this dot HTTP dot post our URL. Now, if you see, since previously this was a static login, so we took some of the field of our own email and the other password. But when you are doing the login from the API, so you need to check like what object you need to send. So it is username. So let's change it. Username. Now, since we changed the email property to username, over here also we need to change. See the benefit of doing this, right? If you have created proper class or interface, if you are changing it in the class, everywhere, wherever you are using that, everywhere you have to change it. In case of any, it won't suggest you any error, right? So that's the benefit of creating class and interface. And here you need to send this dot login object as a parameter. Dot subscribe, round bracket result, colon any. Now, if you see the API response, what's the API response you are getting? Object, right? See the response now. Object you are getting, and inside that object result property you need to watch out for. So if result is true, means API call was success. Okay. Let's say if I pass some wrong credential, execute. So see, I will get result property as false, and in the message I will get it also like username and password is wrong. Fine. Now we have to hit this API. Here we will write that piece of code. If result property is true, if res dot result is true, we will say alert. Means what after login, whatever we have to do. So these two things we have to do. Now here, let me pass the correct credentials. So let's use this username and password is 1234567. If I click on execute, see result property is true, and in data we are getting the whole object, right? Now when we do the login with the API, if the login API is correct, means we pass the correct credential, in response you will get whole object of that user. Now this whole object we need to store to the local storage. Instead of storing just username or user ID, we need to store the whole object, because after login, sometimes we might need the role also. Sometimes when we might need the full name also. Sometimes we might need the user ID also. So that's why we have to store the whole object into our local storage or session storage. So now, what type of data we can store in the session storage or local storage? String only. But what do we got? Object. We cannot store object directly. So we have to convert it into string format. How do we convert object into string?
By JSON conversion, stringify,
JSON dot string.
JSON.stringify.
JSON.stringify.
And here we will pass result dot data, because in data we are going to get the object, and else block alert. Now instead of showing hard code wrong message, from API only you are getting the message like why API got failed. Fine. Let's add a debugger over here and let's add inside also. So first I will pass the wrong credential so that we will get error. Login. We got the object. Continue. So see, in result we got for result property as false because we sent the wrong credential, and in message also we got. So it will go to the else block and it will showcase the message whatever we get from the API. Now, if we pass correct credential, that is Anand, username and password is 1234567. Login. So now we are passing the correct credential. So once I continue, in the result you can see we got true, and in data we got the object also. So it will go inside, navigate, and we will store the data to the local storage. So now if you see here, you can see complete object got stored into our this key. By looking at it, it is looking like we have stored the object only, correct? Is it object or string?
String.
String only, but when we look from the application, it looks like an object. That double quote is missing over here. Okay, because we converted our object into string by json.stringify. Fine. So this, instead of that hard code or finding user from the array, we normally do it with the API integration. Remaining flows stays the same. Clear? So whenever we have to do the login, check the API, what object you need to send, create a class of that, bind it to the form, and you integrate the API. That's it. But when we are doing with the login, in response, you might get the object of the match user, and that whole object we need to store to the local storage or session storage. So you need to convert it to the string by using this method. Clear, everyone? Anyone having
Yes.
any doubt?
Sir, I have a doubt.
Yeah.
Usually we add the get or post method in service, and after that in component we call
Yeah.
using subscribe. Here we
Yeah.
added
So we
together.
can do that also. See, I think you joined. You were there now from starting or not?
I was there. I just I am having this doubt only.
Yeah.
Dot subscribe you have added here itself.
See, we have a service also. User service was already created. So here also we can create that function login. Okay. Here we can have that object. Instead of writing API call into your function, you will write the service also. This dot http dot post. What's our URL? This is our URL. And whatever the object we get as a parameter, that we will pass it over here. So now what you have done in your service, you have created a function where you are going to make the API call. Now this function you can call it over here, but again if you have to use that function is in your user service. So we need to create user service object, right? Inject user service. Now instead of writing API call over here, you will give a call to your API call function. So this dot user service dot login, and to this function you need to pass the object, login object. The remaining thing will stay the same. So instead of writing the API call into your component, you have moved that code into your service. Understood?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Normally we do it. We don't write API call into our component. We should move our API call code into our service only. Okay. Clear, everyone? Having any doubt?
I'm getting subscribe is strike out, so it's a absolute. So what we can use
Getting subscribe is
strike out means
okay.
absolute.
So see, yeah. So if means let's say after this, if we add error block, it will get strikeout. Means this the syntax what we are using is saying it is deprecated. So instead of that, we have to use this next method. How do we write that? Anyone know how do we write that? I also didn't write that. User service dot login round bracket this dot login object dot subscribe. Inside we have to use the next method.
Next method first, huh? Then error, then success.
Next is not coming. Like this only or something else?
We need to use curly braces first. Inside that we can add next. Curly.
Okay,
Yes.
like this.
Arrow function mode.
What it is saying? Observable partial. Now, how do we write it? Anyone have the code? What's the syntax?
So next के बाद कॉलन लगाइएगा.
Next के बाद
कॉलन है आई थिंक. कॉलन लगा के और
ऐसा.
हाँ उसके बाद आप लिख सकते हैं.
ओके. फिर उसके बाद एरर.
हाँ, उसके बाद एरर देन सक्सेस। एरर भी सेम इसी तरह कॉलन लगाकर।
It's giving error. Next is working fine, but after that,
सक्सेस।
error. Okay,
तो
let
कॉलन
it be.
प्लेस करना, एरर के बाद भी कॉलन प्लेस करना।
It was not working.
Small
Okay.
error, I think.
Sir,
No,
I have a question over here.
Hmm.
Sir, uh, when we are using the next,
Hmm.
then we have to use the error also, those two parameters.
See, see over here. This subscribe block will execute once your API call is success. But if API call is break, so your error block will execute. Just like next. This is for success and this is for error. Okay.
But even without next, we can also write the
Yeah, but
logic, right?
that is getting deprecated, na? That's why this new thing came.
Oh, the next. Okay, okay, got it.
Okay.
Yes, I haven't
So,
working on
sir,
Angular
I
from last
pasted
6 months.
using the Copilot. I pasted the code.
Let it be. I will
Next.
check it first because what's the purpose of next? I also don't know.
Yeah.
Okay.
Next column response any,
But same thing
and
we have written.
it is inside the curly bracket, round bracket, curly bracket. I just pasted in the chat.
I'm copying that.
Okay, I see.
Login object. No, it is giving here error. Next. What are we doing wrong?
सब्सक्राइब में जो एरर ऑब्जेक्ट बना रखा है शायद
Right.
वो हटा।
So, subscribe block is not closed.
हाँ,
Round.
Let it be. I will check it.
Okay.
Tomorrow again, I will properly show it. Okay. So when we have to do the login, it just you create an object, bind it to the form, and you send it with your API. Just once we do login with the API, in response, you are supposed to get an object. Not mandatory, it based on the API developer. If he's sending the complete object, sometimes they won't send it also. They will just send the user ID. Okay. Then once you navigate after login, you navigate to the dashboard or somewhere. Then again you need to call up another API to get all the detail by that user ID. Okay. Currently, what is happening with our scenario? Once we do the login, whatever the user we are saying, in response of the login API, we are getting the whole object of that user, role, username, full name, email ID, everything. But it's not guaranteed that in login API you will get whole object of the logged in user. Sometimes user will send only user ID also from the login. Then from login you navigate to some dashboard or some page, and there you will call another API like get user by user ID, and there you will get the whole object.
So, sir, in your API, you didn't design like oath, bearer token, oath token,
It is there.
refresh token.
User API is there.
The response I see there is no token.
No, it is no. This API with every project API I have not implemented token. Some user control is there, na? There you can find that refresh token and everything. There it is.
Okay, okay.
Here you can see all those API reset token, login with refresh, right? JWT token, refresh token, forget password, reset, forget password by OTP. All the APIs are over here. Use this if you have to practice.
Okay, got it.
Okay. So you understood the concept what I was going through? Not necessary that every time you will get the user data. But again, if they don't provide the whole user data into the login response, they will provide one more API to get the user data. And that after login, you will be calling that API to get all the user data. Clear?
सर ये एपीआई हम लोग एपीआई का कोड कैसे चेक कर सकते हैं? कहाँ गिटहब पे है क्या ये
नहीं,
एपीआई
मैं
का?
शेयर करूंगा, ये गिटहब पर नहीं रखा मैं,
हाँ
पिंग
सर,
करना, मैं
क्योंकि
शेयर करूंगा।
लॉजिक देखना था इसका तो।
हाँ, okay. Understood everyone? Anyone having question? Otherwise we can move to the next topic. JWT लॉगिन एंड इंटरसेप्टर है, वो मैं बाद में बताऊंगा प्रोजेक्ट के टाइम पे.
Sir, I just recently joined in for like I missed for last 15 minutes. Can you briefly tell me
See,
like what you
uh,
clear?
yesterday we started login. Okay, so
Mhm.
previously we have done with the static code, hard code
Yes.
login. It was having if condition, but then I explained this scenario. Instead of having just one user, we can have an array of user also, and we can match from that by using find method. And then we will check, like if we got the record, we will get it over here. If it is not undefined, we will navigate, otherwise it will go to the else block. This is with hard code login. Now same thing, normally we don't do the hard code login. We always, for login, we always hit the API, right? So we will write API like this. We have to first check the login API, what object we need to send. We will create a class of those properties, and this class we will bind it to the form by using ng model, right? Now on click of login, we will here integrate our API and we will send the object. Now whatever the object you get, that you will store to your session storage or local storage. Session storage only can store string type of data, so we have to convert it to the string, whatever the object we get. That's it. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
तर फाइंड मेथड मध्ये आपण m.email वगैरे काय यूज केलं म्हणजे?
हे लॅमडा एक्सप्रेशन म्हणतो आपण याला. एम ली, एक्स ली, काही ली, सिंटॅक्स आहे.
ओके ओके.
म्हणजे या युजर, सी इट्स लाईक, या युजर लिस्ट मध्ये काय आहे, ऑब्जेक्ट आहे, अरे ऑफ ऑब्जेक्ट आहे. सो त्याच्यातलं तुला कशासोबत कम्पेअर करायचं, तू ऑब्जेक्ट बनवत आहे त्याचा, एका ऑब्जेक्टचा. ओके. युजर लिस्ट मध्ये ऑब्जेक्ट कशा ऑब्जेक्ट, युजर लिस्टच्या अरे मध्ये ऑब्जेक्ट काय आहे, ईमेल आयडी आणि पासवर्ड. तुला कॅच कंडिशन लिहायचे ना, दॅट्स वाय एम ली, एक्स ली, एनिथिंग. ओके.
ओके सर.
युट्यूबच्या चॅनलवर एक व्हिडिओ आहे माझ्या, अरे वरच्या सगळ्या ऑपरेशन चांगल्याने आपण केलं आहे. भेटला तर सांग, नाही तर मी पाठवतो. फिल्टर, फाइंड इंडेक्स
ग्रुपमध्ये पाठवा सर.
ओके. Okay. Now we are going to see custom directives. Okay. So what I will do, in app folder, I will create a folder, directives. Now, first of all, what's the definition of directive? What is the definition of directive?
Directive is a class
Mhm.
where we write the logic to manipulate the DOM.
Right. Again,
It's at the behavior of the HTML attribute.
right. So see, both definitions are correct. Directive is nothing but something which has a functionality written to modify your DOM element. Okay. Directive is something which you can apply on any HTML element that will modify that element according to the rule or regulation you have added in your directive. Okay. सो डायरेक्टिव का काम क्या है? डायरेक्टिव अगर तुमने क्रिएट किया, उसमें कुछ तो भी तुमने लॉजिक लिखा है, वो डायरेक्टिव तुम जिस एलिमेंट पे लगाओगे, वो डायरेक्टिव, वो एलिमेंट कुछ ना कुछ बिहेव करेगा, मॉडिफाई होगा, उसका बिहेवियर चेंज होगा, राइट? जो भी तुमने तुम्हारे डायरेक्टिव में कोड लिखा है वैसे वो बिहेव करेगा. जैसे एनजी मॉडल डायरेक्टिव, व्हाट इट डज, टेक्स्ट बॉक्स की जो भी वैल्यू है, जैसे ही तुम टेक्स्ट बॉक्स की वैल्यू चेंज करते हो, टेक्स्ट बॉक्स की वैल्यू तुम्हारे वेरिएबल में असाइन कर देता है, राइट? When we use ng model directive, what it does actually, when a user change the text box value, it takes that value and assign it to a variable. That's the functionality of that directive, right? Router outlet. What's the functionality of router outlet?
It navigates the component based on the user click.
No, again wrong.
It's a placeholder where the DOM components are injected inside the
See, this definition, when you say a placeholder, this is book definition. But what does actually router outlet does? Very simple. What it does, what's the purpose of router outlet?
Redirect.
It
Not
renders
redirect.
the component
It
on the
loads
Renders the
DOM.
component.
Which
What
load
is
it
the
does,
which is easy to load the components
whatever
dynamically.
the activated route is there, dashboard. So it will check which component we have associated with this route. It will load that. So simple definition is, I think I have explained it, na?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Redirect.
Router outlet is like the only responsibility of router outlet is to render the activated route component. That's it.
Yes, sir. Render.
Okay. Go with simple sentence. Okay. Now, so as I say, every directive, whatever we are using, has its some specific use case. It's going to perform like that because that's the code it has written. So if we think in router outlet, they might have written the code to check the activated route, and they get a component class. They might be creating an object of that class, and they might be injecting inside that element. Something logic might be written over there like that. Okay. Now, just like we have ng directive, ng for directive, ng class, ng style, ng model, router outlet, router link, just like that, we can create our own directives also that we call as a custom directive. Okay. Now, very simple, I will go, then we will move towards the advanced one. So let's open a directive. So what's the most famous directive? What we say in interview? What's the famous directive? What we say in the interview?
NG model is the famous trick.
No.
NG for
Custom
NG.
directive. Custom directive, I'm asking. When someone asks you in the interview, like what is custom directive? And have you created any custom directive? What's the normally directive we say?
Highlight.
Highlight. Okay. So that's the, everyone will say that highlight directive. So let's create that highlight directive first. So ng generate, we have to create directive. So dir, okay. Either you can write complete also. Highlight. Okay. So it has created two files. So see, by default, your directive will look like this. Again, it's a class, and above class, we have directive. What is
Decorator.
this? Directive decorator. Is it a directive decorator or class decorator?
Directive.
No.
directive.
It's a class decorator, na? Where we have written this?
It's decorate class.
Above the class we have written, na? So this is class decorator. Inside class decorator, we have component, directive, pipe, and injectable. But obviously it's a class directive. Okay. How many types of directives we have? Decorators we have? Class, method,
Class.
property.
Property.
Okay. Fine. So this is the basic code. Our directive name will be this, just like ng model, right? So our directive name is this. So if we have to apply this directive anywhere, this is the name, app highlight. Okay. Now, what's the functionality we have to write? Let's say this dashboard page, this title is there. If I hover my mouse on this dashboard page, I need to highlight this particular text. If I hover over here, I need to highlight. So I need to write code in my directive wherever user hover its point his mouse on that particular element, that particular element should get some different color, means highlight. And when user move, again it will go back to the black color. जब भी यूजर माउस अपने एलिमेंट पे लेके जाए, उस एलिमेंट का कलर चेंज होना चाहिए, फॉन्ट कलर जैसे मूव करे फिर से वो ब्लैक होना चाहिए. सो दिस इज हाईलाइट. Scenario is clear to everyone?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, so for this functionality, we are going to need the reference of that element. How do we get the reference of element in JavaScript?
Document dot get element by ID.
Right? By writing document dot get element by ID and passing the ID, you get a reference of that DOM element. And then you can do anything. You can add a dynamic style, you can add a dynamic class, you can read a value, you can set a value, anything, right? So just like that in Angular, we have something element ref. So inside constructor, I will write private element ref Data type will be element ref. Element ref means reference of the element. Okay. Here, whatever we used to write document.get element by ID, same thing element ref will do. It will get you the reference of that element. Okay. Now in constructor, sorry, not constructor, we have to write on the mouse, or first we will just write in the constructor. So here this dot element ref dot native element dot, we need to add dynamic style. Style is equal, sorry, style dot color is equal to red. So what I have written in my directive, I have written wherever I add this directive, there color will be dynamically added as a red. So now if I'm using this directive, let's go to dashboard. Okay. So in dashboard component, we have 3 elements. So let's say on H3, I'm adding my directive. Wait, why it's not giving error? It should give the error. Let's try if it is working. It's not working also. Why it's not giving error, but okay. So obviously we have to import it, na? Then only we can use it. So let's import it. Highlight directive. So see, this particular H3 has that color. So what happens? We have created a directive. Inside that directive, in the constructor, we are directly assigning a color to whatever the element. Means wherever we have added this directive, we get a reference of that element over here. Constructor will get automatically called, right? So once the directive is properly initialized, we are adding a color red to that element. So this directive we have added on this H3. So we are getting the color. Let's add one more H4 sample text. And here also I am adding. So see, understood this? This is not on mouse or directly we have written. Wherever we add that directive, we are adding color to that particular element. Clear everyone? Let's add a debugger also. How many times this directive will execute. Let's go back. Dashboard. Okay, so first time we have added. So if you see element, what element we have got over here? H3, na? See over here.
Three.
Continue. Then H4. So on 2 elements we have added, na? So we get a reference of that. First H3 and then H4. Understood? How actually it's executing? So you actually get a reference of that element. Wherever you have added that directive, you get a reference of that element. Clear?
सर हमेशा यही रेफरेंस का ही यूज करना होगा ना, चाहे हम HTML में कहीं भी लगाए.
Yes.
So
We should not use document.getElement by ID in Angular.
okay, it's kind of
Clear? So what
सर
happening is, हाँ,
हैश लगाना पड़ेगा कि ऐसे ही डायरेक्ट लिखना है? कभी कभी हैश लगा के लिखते
वो
हैं ना यार,
component
highlight.
where we add hash when we have to create a view child,
ओके,
right?
ये इसमें नहीं
Because
है डायरेक्ट.
see, we have created a directive, and this directive we have directly appended on that particular element, na? So directly we get the reference of this element. Okay.
Okay.
In case of view child, because in view child you don't add something onto your element, na? Right? In .ts you create a view child, and here you don't add anything. So we to
Right.
get a reference of that, we add hash property. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So now what is happening on the page load only it's adding. Let's say instead of adding by default on the page load, once I hover on that particular element, there I need to add it. And once I remove, then I need to remove that color also. So that's the highlight. Okay. So now here we need host listener. Okay. So I'll put it Host.
Sir, on hover.
Uh,
So
yeah, go ahead.
can you explain what is host listener?
Yeah, I'm doing that. Okay. Let me just first find that event on mouse over or something will be there.
तो ऑन माउस ओवर होगा ना इवेंट
Mouse enter. Mouse
माउस
enter.
एंटर माउस ओवर माउस लीव
Okay. So first of all, host listener is a decorator. What type of decorator it is?
Event decorator, mouse
Host
event
listener is
decorator.
a decorator.
Method decorator.
We are adding this decorator above this function. So we know it's a function, but when we say technically, it's a method. So this is a method decorator. Just like class decorator, this is method decorator.
इट मीन्स सर जिसके ऊपर ये असाइन किया जाएगा वो वही डेकोरेटर बन जाएगा.
नहीं. Decorator is like, we are explaining that this function is a type of decorator function, means host listener. Now what is host listener? See, this directive we are adding on this element and this element. So this element become a host for this directive. Correct? This element become a host for this directive. Understood? So
Yes, sir.
whatever the events happening on this element, we can write a code on that element, on those various events by using host listener. So now that's the syntax, host listener. Whatever the events happening on that element, you can listen to that and write some code on that. So host listener, you have events are multiple events, type, change, or mouse over, scroll. So what event you want to watch out for? On what event you need to write the code. So that event type you need to specify over here. Understood? Host listener. Whatever the element you are going to add, whatever the element you are going to add this directive, you are listening to the event happening on that element and you are writing the code. That's the purpose.
Mouse over or mouse enter?
Mouse enter is also there and mouse over is also there. Let's try.
What's the difference?
Let's check. Mouse enter and mouse leave is there. Okay. Now, whatever we did on the initialization of the directive, instead of doing it over here, I will move this code over here. And over here, we need to make it black again. Let's first see if it is working properly. Okay, so by default, we don't have anything. If I hover, see, it's getting that color. If I remove, understood?
Yes.
Let's add a debugger now. So see. Now, if I hover on this, you get your mouse enter function automatically executed. Understood? And once you leave, other function also get executed. So you are writing a code on these events, mouse enter and mouse leave. So when user hover his mouse on the particular element where you have added the directive, this function will execute. Clear?
सर ये जावास्क्रिप्ट के ऐड इवेंट लिसनर की तरह ही है ना या
Yes.
उससे डिफरेंट
So in JavaScript, we used to add attach event by using add event listener. It is same like that. If you know from JavaScript how we used to do that. So same thing we can achieve in Angular by using host listener. If you just want to check, you can search how to add event listener in JavaScript. How we write event normally? By directly writing the click event on the element. Instead of that, you can write like this also. First, you get the element and then attach an event to this. Let's show you the code. See, we have a button over here. We didn't write a click event, but what we can do, just like this, we can attach an event. See, we have created an event. Now this event we need to attach to this button on click. So what we did, we selected that element and we add event. This is the event type and this is the function we need to call. So once we click on try it out, see this function is getting triggered. So whatever happening over here in JavaScript, same thing we can do in Angular by using host listener. Those who don't know this, invest some time and see how this works. Because as I said, even though you are going to give interview on the Angular, na, they might ask you this. After, see, once you have 4+ years of experience, na, in Angular, we have limited number of questions. You also know. We have limited number of topics, so questions are also limited. But after some proper experience, na, they will try to ask questions like this. Because obviously you know what is directive and what are the types of directive, how to create custom directive. Even a developer with 2 years experience also have the answer. What else you know, right? So they might ask anything like, yeah, host listener is doing this. So in normal JavaScript, vanilla JS, how we used to do it? So add event listener. Okay. So clear everyone? Highlight directive.
सर एक सिनेरियो आपने जो भी रिपीट किया, एक बार रिपीट कर सकते थे?
कौन सा?
जो क्या क्या पूछ सकते सर? जैसे
जावास्क्रिप्ट
कि
वाला?
हाँ हाँ,
सी,
अभी आपने बोले ना,
जो हम अभी होस्ट लिस्नर का काम समझा क्या? होस्ट लिस्नर
ये
व्हाट इट डज, जिस
यस
भी
सर,
एलिमेंट पे अपन ये डायरेक्टिव लगा रहे हैं, उस एलिमेंट पे अगर माउस ओवर का इवेंट ट्रिगर हुआ तो अपना ये फंक्शन एग्जीक्यूट होगा, राइट?
यस
सो
सर,
ये सेम चीज जावास्क्रिप्ट में बाय यूजिंग दिस होती थी। ये देखो, नॉर्मली जावास्क्रिप्ट में अपन इवेंट कैसे लगाते हैं, यहाँ पे लिखते थे ऑन क्लिक इज इक्वल टू, तुमने ये फंक्शन यहाँ पे कॉल किए रहते हैं, राइट? ऐसे हम जावास्क्रिप्ट में कॉल करते हैं फंक्शन।
यस सर,
Yes.
बट ऐसा अगर नहीं करना है तो दूसरा भी एक तरीका है। तुम्हारे पास फंक्शन बना हुआ है तो पेज लोड पे क्या करोगे तुमने पहले तुम्हारा एलिमेंट सिलेक्ट किया, आईडी बटन दिख रहा है, यहां तक क्या किया तुमने एलिमेंट का रेफरेंस लिया, उसको तुम इवेंट अटैच कर रहे हो, एड इवेंट लिसनर। देखो लिसनर वर्ड यहाँ पे भी है और लिसनर वर्ड ये यहाँ पे भी है। ओके, तो तुम क्या कर रहे हो, इस एलिमेंट पे तुम्हारा इवेंट अटैच कर रहे हो कि इस एलिमेंट पे अगर ये इवेंट टाइप होता है ट्रिगर तो कौन सा एलिमेंट, कौन सा फंक्शन ट्रिगर करना है, तो ये। सो अगर कोई पूछता है कि माउस होस्ट लिसनर के बिहाइंड द सीन क्या हो रहा होगा, तो नथिंग बट यही हो रहा है। समझे?
यस
So these are different ways to write listener, right?
राइट।
डायरेक्टिव का कोई मतलब रियूजेबल होता है क्या? इसका पर्पस क्या होता है?
हाँ, रियूजेबल ना।
फंक्शनैलिटी वी हैव हैंडल विद सीएसएस आल्सो।
No, this is just an example. Normally, we don't create highlight directive. This we can do in by using CSS also, right? Next directive you will understand properly.
Okay.
Okay. Everyone understood? That's what I said. And in the interview, you don't have to say this highlight directive as an example. Because next question will come, this same thing we can do with CSS also. Then what's the use of directive? Okay. Just for explaining element reference, I have explained this. Now we will create a directive where I have this text box. Okay. I need to restrict this text box to enter number only. What we can do? We can get input type also. Input type number also we can do, na?
Yes, sir.
Type number. But does it guarantee input type number that you can always type number? Does it guarantee that if you use input type number, it will only allow you to type number only, or it can enter text also sometime?
Sometimes it can
See,
interfere.
if you use your mouse keyboard very regularly, see, I'm able to type E. Now, is it guaranteed?
No, sir.
देखो क्वेश्चन क्या था मेरा, अगर अपन इनपुट टाइप नंबर लेते हैं तो ये हमेशा नंबर ही टाइप करने देगा कि टेक्स्ट टाइप करने देगा? सो अगर आपने कीबोर्ड बहुत रिगरसली यूज किया, बहुत स्पीडली अगर बटन प्रेस कर रहे हो, माइट बी पॉसिबल वो कभी कभी कैरेक्टर टाइप करने देता है। देखो एग्जांपल हुआ टाइप, E. So can we rely on this input type number?
सर इसका कोई मतलब ड्रॉबैक है ना, मतलब ये सिर्फ प्रिंट होते हैं, अदर कैरेक्टर तो नहीं होते हैं।
पता नहीं, अभी पूछो दूसरा
नहीं,
कोई।
ई मैथ्स का ही है ना सर, इसलिए होता है। ई का एक्सपोनेंशियल होता है ना।
अच्छा, ई का एक्सपोनेंशियल है, उसके लिए होता है क्या?
हाँ
हाँ,
हाँ
इसीलिए
मतलब।
अलाउ करता है।
हाँ सर, एक्सपोनेंशियल।
ओके,
और कुछ दूसरा टाइप करिए।
ठीक है, अब मुझे भी नहीं पता था ये। So let's consider you have a mobile number. Okay. Now in that mobile number, can we allow E? No, na. We
No.
just need number only, 10 digit. So you have to create a directive where you will write a logic that it will only allow numbers only. Okay. It will only allow numbers only. If you type character, it should not allow to type the character. So this is the directive we want to create. Okay. So let's create a
सर
directive.
दूसरा दूसरा करेक्टर एंटर एंटर करके देखिए ना एक बार।
नहीं हो रहा है, नहीं हो रहा है, वो ई हो रहा है। मेरे को एस दिखा था कभी, इसलिए मेरे को लगा वो ई नहीं होता है।
नहीं सर, सिर्फ ई ही होता है।
नहीं होता है।
नहीं,
नहीं हो रहा है बाकी कोई, सिर्फ ई होता है। ये डायरेक्टली होता है लगभग। कॉपी पेस्ट करके देखते हैं बार। नहीं होता है, ठीक है। बट जैसा मैं नंबर्स ओनली कर रहा हूँ, वैसे ही स्पेशल कैरेक्टर का भी हो सकता है। अगर तुम्हें सिर्फ कैरेक्टर से अलाउ करना है या फिर स्पेशल कैरेक्टर से अलाउ करना है, तो लॉजिक तुम्हारा कुछ भी रहेगा, लेकिन डायरेक्टिव अपना वही होगा। मैं बताता हूँ क्या चेंज होगा, ठीक है।
सर पर हम इनपुट एलिमेंट्स में एक वो एलिमेंट होता है बाय डिफॉल्ट रीचेक्स, वो भी तो लिख सकते हैं ना?
कौन सा?
जो इनपुट एलिमेंट है वहाँ पे एक बाय डिफॉल्ट इनपुट एलिमेंट की एक अपना एट्रीब्यूट होता है कि
पैटर्न का।
रिजेक्ट का एक्सप्रेशन
पैटर्न,
रख दो,
पैटर्न, पैटर्न।
पैटर्न।
हाँ,
फिर वो
बट वो अगेन
एंटर
हर
नहीं
एक,
करने देता।
हर एक नहीं, पैटर्न एंटर करने देता है। पैटर्न, अगर तुमने पैटर्न डाला, वो एंटर करने देता है, रिस्ट्रिक्ट नहीं करता। तब जाके फिर अपने को वो वैलिडेशन मिलता है ना कि पैटर्न का एरर है। एंटर करने देता है वो, ठीक है।
अच्छा।
ये कोड मैंने पुश किया ना, इसमें फॉर्म्स वैलिडेशन कहीं तो भी किया हमने, यूजर या
हाँ
फिर
जी, वो
वेंडर पुश
किया
किया।
था, हमने किया था
हाँ,
वो पहले
वो
वो
एंटर तो कर नहीं दिया था ना उसने, रिस्ट्रिक्ट थोड़ी किया था। हमें क्या
किया
करना है,
है।
रिस्ट्रिक्ट करना है कि यूजर टाइप ही ना करे। ओके, लेट्स क्रिएट कंपोनेंट डायरेक्टिव
बट
एंड जी जनरेट
ओके,
डायरेक्टिव नंबर ओनली, ठीक है। मैंने ये डायरेक्टिव क्रिएट किया। अब ये डायरेक्टिव में अपना लॉजिक रहेगा कि नंबर ओनली, अगर यूजर ने नंबर टाइप, अपार्ट फ्रॉम नंबर उसने कुछ भी टाइप किया, तो हमें क्या करना है, रिस्ट्रिक्ट करना है। ओके, तो उसके लिए हमें फिर से एलिमेंट रेफरेंस लगेगा, प्राइवेट एलिमेंट रेफ, ठीक है।
तो जब भी हमने डायरेक्टिव बनाना ये तो चीजें करनी पड़ेगी ना, एलिमेंट रेफ
हाँ,
ये।
अगर तुम्हारा डायरेक्टिव में ऑब्वियसली विदाउट एलिमेंट रेफरेंस तो कुछ लिखोगे ही नहीं ना। डायरेक्टिव का काम ही वो है कि एचटीएमएल के किसी एलिमेंट के साथ कुछ ना कुछ कोड लिखोगे। विदाउट एचटीएमएल एलिमेंट का कैसे लिखोगे, ऐसा कोई सिनेरियो मुझे भी नहीं पता, राइट। तो हमेशा एलिमेंट रेफरेंस लगेगा ही।
एंड हॉस्ट लिस्टनर एज well।
हाँ, होस्ट लिस्टनर ऑप्शनल है लगे, तो जैसे अपन ने पहले किया था ना, पेज लोड पे ही मैंने वो कलर लगा दिया था कंस्ट्रक्टर के अंदर,
अच्छा अच्छा अच्छा।
राइट। तो होस्ट लिस्टनर ऑप्शनल है। ओके, अब मुझे यहाँ पे होस्ट लिस्टनर में कौन सा इवेंट लिखना पड़ेगा, टेक्स्ट बॉक्स की वैल्यू जैसे ही चेंज हो गई वैसे,
ऑन की अप।
राइट। सो ऑन की अप कर
इन
सकते हो, या फिर इनपुट है, या फिर ब्लर कर सकते हो, लेकिन ब्लर प्रॉपरली काम नहीं करेगा, राइट। चेंज भी प्रॉपरली काम नहीं करेगा, क्योंकि एंगुलर में चेंज इवेंट जब तुम बाहर क्लिक करते हो ना, तब ट्रिगर होता
फिगर। हाँ,
है। ओके, सो प्रॉपर है इनपुट वाला, इनपुट करके एक इवेंट है जावास्क्रिप्ट में, तो वो इनपुट यूज करेंगे।
ऑन की अप नहीं कर सकते?
की अप भी कर सकते हैं वो, बट लेकिन वो लिटिल बिट कंफ्यूजिंग है, क्योंकि की अप कर रहे हो या इनपुट मतलब तुम्हारे टेक्स्ट बॉक्स की वैल्यू चेंज हुई, उसके लिए ट्रिगर होता है। की
ओके।
थोड़ा सा अलग होता है।
कीबोर्ड
ओके,
इवेंट खाली।
हाँ, ओके। उसके बाद ऑन चेंज। अब, so now here we have to write that logic. First we need to read the text box value. How do we read the text box value? in JavaScript?
p1.target.value.
Dot value say, right? So here value this dot ele dot native element dot value. Okay, so here you will get the value. Let's console it. Now this directive we will add it over here. Again, we need to import it also. Numbers only directive. So see, once I start typing, it is allowing me. Okay, numbers are coming over here. Again, now instead of number, we will go with input type text. Okay, we want the input type text, but we want to limit it to number only. Fine. So it is allowing currently number also and text also. Now, in JavaScript, we have something, what do we say? Test method. What's the use of test method? Test method. Anyone have used test method? Test.
No.
No, sir.
Test.
Default method.
Test method in JavaScript. If we have a regular expression and we want to test it, like whatever the value we have, is it validating that regular expression? So we can make use of the test method. Specific search. Test method to check number only in JavaScript. Okay, so see, this is a regular expression for checking number only. Then whatever the parameter we have, whatever the value we have, we can pass it over here. If this, whatever the value we have, if it's a number only, so we will get it true, otherwise we will get it false. Okay, so let's try this. Let's say over here I'm creating a variable num1 is equal to, in this variable I'm storing characters. Okay, characters and number. Then if we have to test it, this num1 I will pass it over here. See what I'm getting? False. Okay, let's create num2. Here I will store just the number. Here if I say num2, see, I got it true. Understood? So this is your pattern, regular expression for number only. So you are testing this regular expression with this value. So if this value contains number only, you will get it true. If this value contains string, it will get it false. Understood?
तो ये सिर्फ regex के साथ ही काम करता है, टेस्ट या और भी कहीं यूज कर सकते हैं?
नहीं, regex के लिए ही बनाया टेस्ट फंक्शन.
इसी को बनाया ना, इसी के लिए यूज होता है.
Only to test the regex.
Okay.
Guys, see, if you are working and if you have never used this test function, so you are not working on the right project, or you might had some scenario like this, but you didn't use this way. You should be aware of test function. Okay. After 3+ experience, now it is very, what do we say? You should know it. Okay. Now, if you have seen this, you might consider whatever the work you have done. There might be some scenarios where you should have used this test function, because in interview test function get asked. Okay.
So we generally what I had done so far, पहले उस नंबर को ना मैं नंबर में कन्वर्ट करता था, फिर बाद में देखता था कि वो नंबर है कि नहीं. इज नम एक फंक्शन भी है ना इसमें.
is num भी है, right.
Can check
उससे
off type
करता
of
That is
also
only for
value.
number. I'm saying, how do we test a regular expression? This is very normal interview question. How do we test a regular expression? By using test method. You pass the regular expression over here. On that you use test method and you pass the value. If that value validate this, whatever the pattern you have, it will get it true. Otherwise you will get it false. Okay.
Yeah.
Clear?
Yes. Yes, sir.
Fine. So now this thing we have to write it over here in our code. So here we get the value. Now we need to store it
But
also.
still both are string in a string. Why it's returning true?
Where both? No, see,
Oh, it's sorry, it's a
value
reject.
only it will check, na? Right? It will only check value, not double quote or single quote. Okay?
Mhm.
Here we have to store our pattern. So this is our pattern. This is the pattern for checking numbers only. Just like that, we have our PAN card, Aadhaar card, right? So pattern dot test. Now test will come or not because we stored this in a string format. No, regex. Because test will come only if the
We
what do we
create an
say?
instance of that.
Regular expression. On the string it won't come, na?
लिटरल पे नहीं आएगा पर हमें उस पे लिटरल स्ट्रिंग पे नहीं आएगा वो.
Now you can see test function it is suggesting because in this variable what type of data we have stored? A regular expression. So then test function is coming. Okay. And we need the output also. Constant.
तो जो मैंने बोला वो सही था ना कि वो हमने उसका पहले लिटरल बनाया था उसको कॉन्स्ट में ऐड रखा था रिजेक्ट्स को.
Right.
Okay.
Sorry, value we need to pass. Okay. So see what we have done. We have created a regular expression and this is our regular expression. We have stored into a variable. Now regular our pattern dot test and we are passing our text box value. Output of this will be true or false. If the in the value we have number only, we will get false or vice versa. So if it is number only, we will get true. Otherwise, we will get it false. So if is num is equal to true, then or false. Why other way around we need to do. If it is a false, we need to stop the event. That event dot stop propagation. Event dot stop propagation or what? Prevent or default. Stop propagation, which let's try both. Okay. So so if whatever the number, whatever the value, no, but here we will get every value. Yeah, let's try it first. So if the value, whatever you type is not a number, we will get false over here. So if it is false, we need to stop the event. But here we need to get the event reference also. So after this, we have to write dollar. See the second parameter argument is there. Na? So here we can access the event. So how do we access the event? JavaScript event. What's the way? How do we access dollar event? Okay. Event. Data type will be, let's go with any, I don't know, like what's the input for that. So event dot stop propagation. Now this event stop propagation is from your JavaScript only. Okay. Let's try it. Let's add a debugger. Now, if I type W, no, it has allowed it. Why it has allowed it? It is going into stop propagation, but it is allowing it.
So this one is for event bubbling. So from child to parent.
It is saying stop propagation is not a function. Did we make the spelling mistake? Stop. Let's add a debugger and then we will get the correct syntax.
Spelling mistake is it?
Spelling mistake might be there. Event dot Okay, PRO, PA is the, okay, we have removed O. Let's try now. W. No, still it is allowing. Why? Event dot event or default. What we are allowing it to do.
सर हम इनकी जगह रिटर्न भी तो कर सकते हैं ना वापस
Return, we cannot
नेटिव
return.
एलिमेंट की वैल्यू में ब्लैंक डाल सकते हैं एंटर ही नहीं करने देगा मतलब द एलिमेंट डॉट नेटिव एलिमेंट ये जो दिस डॉट एलिमेंट नेटिव एलिमेंट डॉट वैल्यू इज इक्वल्स टू ब्लैंक करके हम उसको रोक सकते हैं
ब्लैंक कैसे करेंगे? एग्जिस्टिंग जो 2-3 कैरेक्टर मैंने डाले वो भी निकल जाएंगे ना, तो ब्लैंक नहीं कर सकते।
नहीं बट ये तो आपने इनपुट पे डाला है ना सर तो वो अच्छा ठीक है तो फिर वो आपको हटाना पड़ेगा मतलब
तो वो एक काम करते हैं, रिप्लेस वाला लॉजिक यूज करते हैं।
हाँ वो रिप्लेस करना पड़ेगा
ये तो हम ये कर रहा है काम, लेकिन वो टाइप करने दे रहा है। ओके, सो अनदर लॉजिक विल बी we can replace something. Let's stop it. So what we will do first, here we got the text box value what user has typed. Then we have to update the text box value again. So this dot element dot native element dot value is equal to, ये हमारी initial value है, right? So let's make it current value. So current value dot replace. Why replace is not suggesting?
अरे ये मेरा एक और क्वेश्चन है
वेट वेट,
सर।
मुझे पहले कंप्लीट
ये
करने दो ऐसे।
सॉरी
या सो रिप्लेस, यहाँ पे अपने को वो रिप्लेस का ढूंढना पड़ेगा क्या था, तो वो जावास्क्रिप्ट रिप्लेस मेथड टू चेक नंबर ओनली।
सर मैंने एक टेक्स्ट वो चैट में डाला, वो शायद वर्क होगा।
हाँ, तो यहाँ पे व्हाट वी आर डूइंग means specific event. Whenever we type any key now we get particular event code, that also it's we can write it. But again, like multiple 48 to 55, this we have to write. But we have something, wait, some slash d or something we write. No, this is that. Zero to 9. This I was talking. So this is the logic. Replace, we have to replace it with empty. Okay. And if after this, if initial value, current value is not equal to new value, then we will stop event.propagation. Let's try if this works or not.
सर प्रिवेंट डिफॉल्ट है, नॉट प्रोपोगेशन। प्रोपोगेशन तो अप जाएगा, इवन बबलिंग स्टॉप करेगा।
चेक करते हैं अपन दोनों। W. Okay, so see, our current value is W and this is also W. But again, they're the same thing. It is not preventing it from happening. Let's start that event prevent or default. Event dot prevent default. It's not preventing it. Why it's not preventing?
सर एक बार करंट वैल्यू को चेंज करके तो देखिए कि एलिमेंट में दूसरी वैल्यू भी जा रही है कि नहीं जा रही है।
उस एलिमेंट में
जैसे ये आपने इक्वल टू किया ना, तो उसकी जगह ब्लैंक करके एक बार चेक करिए कि वैल्यू भी रिप्लेस करने दे रहा है वो।
वो निकल रहा है, देखो in text box we had W3, so we got W. No, wait. It is behaving alternate way. See, if I'm typing number, it is removing that. What we wrong?
हाँ,
It is
नंबर
behaving vice versa.
If condition is wrong.
Let's try with comparing equal to.
आणि चष्मासारखा मुतलेली बाजू.
No, why it is behaving like this? For number it
मुझे
is removing.
रेजिक्स पैटर्न में तो उसमें नहीं
पैटर्न
आ रहा।
गलत है क्या ये? Slash your bracket. Normally we have that triangle of triangle we have na somewhere. Of triangle. What number 0 to 9 characters we allowed, right? Slash G. Let's try like this. This is your normal pattern for checking number. What do we write in form validation? W. Okay, it is working. 3. It is skipping. Okay, so pattern was wrong.
पैटर्न
Okay. How it was working over here then? Okay, they were testing it and our logic was something different. Okay, let's debug it one more time. Okay, so if I type W, here we get W value and it is replacing, if apart from 0 to 9, if there is any character, we are removing it. Okay, and in value you can see it is getting empty. So current value is W and it is equal to it is not means the new value is our empty value, so it's not going inside, right? So that event we are, but how it is behaving then? Let's try to comment this. It's not going inside. Okay, sorry, that is not needed. See, over here what you are doing? We are updating the text box value. Okay, so whatever the current value we have got, text box value we have stored over here, this value in this variable we are replacing. If apart from the number we have something, so we are replacing that with empty, and that new value we are assigning it again back to the text box. Okay, so let's remove the debugger and let's test it properly. So W we are not able to type 1, 2, 3. Yeah, it is behaving properly. Okay, so it's like we are updating the exact value of our that particular element. So that stop propagation we don't need. Okay, this is the simple logic. Just like this, if we have to allow special characters or something, so we add that characters over here. Sometimes based on the project requirement, we just want starting character, first or second character with some specific word. That also we can do. Whatever rules and regulations are there, we will change it over here. But this, again, instead of making it now, what different parameters we can have. So we have done input and output. What's the use of input and output?
What's the data?
Parent to child data and child to parent.
Right? If we have to send the data from parent to child and child to parent, we use output, right? Now, component is a directive. Is component a directive?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
So whatever input and
Yes.
output we used to do in component, same thing we can do it over here also. So here also we can have input. Regex. Let's go with string only. What it is saying, initialization. Okay. So just like component also have a directive, just like that directive can also have a directive. So this we can pass. So this directive we have added it over here. After that, square bracket, regex, and you can pass some value. Okay. Here also you can pass some values like this input. And then you can use that in your component directive and write that logic. Just like how we used to send the data to the component, just like the same, we can pass the data to the directive also. Understood? Clear, everyone?
Yes, sir.
Okay. One more directive quickly we'll see. What's the clipboard? Clipboard. What's the use of clipboard?
Some
Copy
some data.
the
Right?
same
Data.
text.
But what is clipboard basically? What is clipboard?
Copy paste.
Yeah, copy paste. That's its thing, that it does copy paste. But what is clipboard? If I
Actually,
say
it's
ng model is a directive. So just like that, I'm asking, what is clipboard?
I think it says stored.
When we say HTML5, what's the advantage of HTML5?
Semantic elements.
Again,
Header footer.
yeah, that is again, how many properties or advantage we have got with HTML5?
Canvas, video tag.
Canvas is there. So what is canvas or
Multimedia.
geolocation? What is this? Canvas, geolocation. What are these?
So objects.
No.
API.
API.
API. Okay. Yeah.
Okay. So canvas, geolocation, clipboard, these are API of HTML5, not our API, application programming interface. So that's why, okay. So clipboard is a API which is provided in HTML5, just like geolocation, just like what we taught. Canvas. So many other APIs are also there with HTML5. Okay. So just like that, Navigator is a API. In that, we got a clipboard and there we can retrieve a data. So if you have visited node npm, let's search Bootstrap. So here you can see we have this copy icon. If we click on this, whatever the text we have it over here, that gets copied. Right? So we have to create a directive which will behave the same. Understood the scenario or no?
Okay. जहाँ भी क्लिक करें वो सेव करना है हमें डेटा
हाँ,
मतलब.
जिस भी एलिमेंट पे मैं क्लिक करूंगा वो टेक्स्ट मेरे क्लिपबोर्ड में कॉपी हो जाना चाहिए. Okay, यहाँ पे over here we had a separate button, but what we need to do, wherever I add that directive and if I clicked on that directive, that text should get copied to my navigator, and then I can paste it anywhere. Okay, let's quickly create. So that's why I said, like, have some example ready. Even you can create a custom tooltip also by using directive. So have some.
सर ये आपने जो अभी HTML की 5 की जो APIs बताई है, ये मतलब ब्राउजर APIs है?
हाँ,
ये
ब्राउजर
कौन
APIs है।
ये ब्राउजर में नई APIs आई थी अपने पास
ब्राउजर ही
HTML5?
API
ओके,
HTML5 जियो लोकेशन विदाउट ब्राउजर जियो लोकेशन कैसे काम करेगा?
अच्छा ये सारी ब्राउजर APIs
ब्राउजर
थी।
APIs है। ओके, डायरेक्टिव कॉपी पेस्ट. See, sometimes we know that like this is that, but we don't know like it is being called as like that, right? So if someone asks you like what are the HTML5 API, and if you have not heard or if you don't know, you will get confused like how we can have API in HTML5, right? But it's not that API what we normally do, backend API. It's the normal term. So API is not only limited to your normal term. It's a generalized term, application programming interface. Okay. Now, so
Yes, sir.
here we have to first, what do we say? Navigator, we will get the text copied to the clipboard. Right. So again, whenever we click, on click of it, we need to store, right? So again, element reference we will need. Private ELE. So at the rate post listener, event will be click. Get text. Okay. Constant text is equal to this dot ele dot native element dot inner text, and whatever the text we get, that we want to store it in the keyboard. So for clipboard, to access that, we have some navigator dot clipboard dot what method we have, write text. What we will write, this text, whatever the text particular element value, and write text. Okay, so what's the return type of write text? What's the return type of write text? Write text is a function. What's its return type? Are see now over here. What's the return type?
Okay, promise.
Promise, na? So if it's a promise, what do we write? Then, na?
Then.
Right?
Then method.
Okay. Just write console.log data copied. Okay. Now this, we will add it onto our dashboard. Let's say paragraph. Again, we need to import it also. What is it? Clipboard. No, copy paste. Our directive name, copy paste directive. Okay. So see, we have added our directive over here on this is sample paragraph text. So now if I click, let's try to paste it. Yeah, see. Okay. Let me just do it again. I'm clicking it over here. Now in my current clipboard, I have whatever I copied from NPM. Okay. If I click, let's add a debugger. Copy paste. So if I click, my function got executed. I got the text box value over here, and whatever the text box value I have, that I am storing into my clipboard. If you see, how do we see the current value clipboard? Let's try to see the existing value. Navigator.clipboard.read text. Oh, it gets promise. Again, we need to write dot, then we will be able to read the text. So currently in the clipboard, we have that value copied from over there. So that we are going to override by write text. So whatever the new value we have, that we are providing to the clipboard. Okay. So now my clipboard.copied, click, continue. It's breaking. Why? Document is not focused. Copy. Okay. So console was open. So that's why it was not able to see the open document. Okay. So we have created one more directive, which functionality is like wherever we click that element text, it will save it to our clipboard data. And you can then use it somewhere. Understood?
सर
Again,
इसमें अगर एक बॉक्स हो और एक बटन अलग से हो,
that also we can do. Then we have to write a logic like that, but it will be like very generalized. It won't be a dynamic, na? Right? Or what we
बट
do normally, wherever we are using that directive, so what we do, we add a tooltip on that. Click to copy. See, we have created a directive which is allowing us, if we click, we know like we can copy. But if we have to provide a instruction also, no? Like what do we need to do? Because if you see this normal paragraph, how do you know like you can copy this? So if we hover on that, you should have a tooltip also saying you can copy this text by clicking, right? We have to show the
राइट,
tooltip also like that.
बट सर क्लिक इवेंट तो किसी और पे लगेगा, तो एलिमेंट रेफरेंस में रेफरेंस कैसे मिलेगा उसका?
क्लिक इवेंट इसी और पे लगेगा मतलब
क्लिक
किस पे
इवेंट तो
लग
बटन पे लगाएंगे ना?
क्लिक इवेंट सिर्फ बटन पे थोड़ी लगता, हर एक एलिमेंट पे लगता ना।
हाँ वैसे लग तो सकता है, बट मैं ही पूछ
तो
रहा हूँ कि
सकता
अगर
नहीं, हर
टेक्स्ट
एक
अगर,
एलिमेंट पे जितने भी तुम्हारे डिव है, लेबल है, सब पे क्लिक इवेंट लगता है।
नहीं नहीं सर, मैं ये कह रहा हूँ कि जैसे एक बॉक्स बना रखा है, पास में बटन है,
हाँ।
बॉक्स एंड बटन आर द डिफरेंट वन।
हम्म।
तो अगर हम क्लिक बटन पे करते हैं और मुझे बॉक्स का टेक्स्ट चाहिए, तो वो इस डायरेक्टिव से होगा क्या?
नहीं, वो जनरलाइज सिनेरियो हो गया ना, वो फिर नॉर्मल कोड लिखना पड़ेगा तुम्हें।
अच्छा, वो इससे नहीं होगा?
इससे कैसे होगा वो?
ये जिस पे अप्लाई करेंगे उसी पे
हाँ।
करेगा ये। ओके।
So
यस।
see, three types of directive we have seen. This is very generalized. Highlight in interview, you don't have to mention it. Just for practice and understanding host listener, we have done it. Okay. Then numbers only. This is mostly used. Here, logic can be anything. Number only, special character only, characters only. Whatever the logic, that we will do it over here. Third was copy paste by using navigator and clipboard. Then we can write, we can create your own tooltip also. We can write, we can create a directive for scrolling also. We can write a directive on if we are changing the size of the page. On this also we can write. Okay. So many things are there where we can write the directive. Clear? Few scenarios we have seen. Understood why do we need to create custom directives? There are so many scenarios. Okay. When you start working on the project, you will get to know, like, obviously there are so many scenarios where we can write some reusable thing, and that we can keep it into our directive. Here is a question like, can we create directive doesn't have an HTML, correct? Does directive have an HTML?
No.
Yes, we have, but in a component directive.
यस
Component
सर,
is also kind of a directive, na? Okay. But if you create your custom directive, custom directive doesn't have any HTML. So can we create a HTML inside a directive?
No.
We can create by using document.create element. That's what I said, na? We can create tooltip also in directive. But it will be over here. Inside function, you will create dynamic HTML. Document.create element, you will create. Okay. Fine. Understood everyone?
सर वो क्लिपबोर्ड का एपीआई क्यों कैसे काम करता है?
क्लिपबोर्ड मतलब ये ब्राउजर का फंक्शनैलिटी यूज करता है. ब्राउजर में मेमोरी होती है, उसमें ये स्टोर्ड रहता है। राइट टेक्स्ट से हम क्लिपबोर्ड में डेटा स्टोर कर सकते हैं, रीड टेक्स्ट से हम रीड कर सकते हैं। ओके।
बट एपीआई तो बैकएंड में डेटा स्टोर करता है।
नहीं, एपीआई मतलब वही मैंने बोला कि एपीआई वैसा मत पकड़ो। एपीआई एक अपने बैकएंड के लिए टर्म नहीं है। एपीआई इज अ कॉमन टर्म, एप्लीकेशन प्रोग्रामिंग इंटरफेस। ये ब्राउजर में भी यूज होगा, विंडोज एप्लीकेशन में भी ये टर्म यूज होगा, किसी माइक्रो प्रोसेसर में भी वो टर्म यूज होगा, हर जगह वो टर्म यूज होता है। वैसे ही HTML5 में भी एपीआई है, जैसे जियो लोकेशन, कैनवास, क्लिपबोर्ड, और भी बहुत सारी है, इंडेक्स डीबी स्टोरेज। ओके। सो
इसका मतलब
एपीआई,
कि ये जो सेशन में स्टोर करता है उसी को बोलते हैं एपीआई।
नहीं नहीं, वैसा मत पकड़ो। एपीआई मतलब वैसा टर्म नहीं है। एपीआई एक ऐसा टर्म है जहाँ पे कुछ फंक्शनैलिटी है जो एक्सपोज हो रही है बाहर।
ओके।
HTML5 का ये एक फंक्शनैलिटी है ना, क्लिपबोर्ड। ब्राउजर का ये है स्टोरेज, क्लिपबोर्ड, टेम्पररी डेटा होल्ड करने के लिए, कॉपी पेस्ट, वो है ये। ओके।
मैक में भी चलेगा?
हर जगह चलेगा, हर मशीन
अच्छा,
पे चलेगा,
उसमें भी चलेगा मैक?
इवन मोबाइल में भी चलेगा, सेम।
ओके।
ओके, क्लियर एवरीवन?
हाँ, कोड सर पॉसिबल है तो गिटहब पे अपलोड कर सकते हो।
है ना, कल डाला ना मैंने।
हाँ,
ये कौन है यार, अभी पूछ रहा है, उसको नहीं भेजा।
So this session will be on Saturday as well.
No, no, no. Saturday we will have off. Someone will have it. I think I have shared no somewhere.
But today is Saturday, right?
Yeah. Normally, sometimes we will take it on Saturday also, but just Sunday we won't have.
Monday to
सर आज
Saturday.
का पुश कर दो ना, आज का कोड भी पुश हो
Yeah,
जाएगा।
I will push it. Someone will have it, no? GitHub link. Yeah. No.
ग्रुप में डाला
इनवाइट
था आपने?
चेतन
ग्रुप
वो
में
तो है
डाला
सर।
था, है ना? ठीक है। ओके, फाइन। थैंक यू ऑल।
सर ये अपना
पुश
क्या बोलते हैं एपीआई का सर, जैसे क्रिएट एम्प्लॉय क्रिएट का था सर, वो